Welcome back to another episode of the Genero podcast. Today I'm joined by Minna Keränen. Minna is the Business Unit Director for Industrial and Marketing Director at Pihla Group, the market leader in windows in Finland. And Pihla is part of Inwido, which is the largest manufacturer of doors and windows in Europe.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
You have a very broad marketing background, working in a lot of different companies. Could you quickly tell us about how you ended up where you are today?
Yes, thank you. Yes, I have a long history. Actually, the longest, I've always worked within marketing and communication, and the longest period came actually from McDonald's, where I worked for 9 years, 8 years first in Finland and 1 year in Norway as a marketing director. At McDonald's, you were responsible for marketing and sales and actually product development, also research, quite broad responsibilities. Then I came back to Finland, and for a couple of years I worked for B2B sector, but then quite quickly I went to Specsavers. So again, franchising company, again brand building, again very, very active and aggressive campaign, I must say. At Specsavers, I was thinking that the next step I will take, I want to be involved maybe more with also sales, more deeper sales responsibility, and I joined Specsavers not Specsavers, but Pihla Group 5 years ago as a marketing director, and Pihla Group is really an interesting, actually at that time it was Inwido still. Inwido is our owner, Pihla Group is the brand name in Finland. And Pihla Group, we have 3 different business units there. So we have the shared service unit. A shared service includes marketing that gives services to all brands that we have. Our biggest brands are Pihla and Tiivi. But then we have subsidiaries also. We have other brands as well, such as the wooden windows like Hyvinkään Puuseppien and Sydänpuu, and then we have sliding doors, Profin, and Class 1, which is very architectural window, or window that architects use a lot. So lots of different brands, but Pihla and Tiivi are the biggest ones. And the 3 business units we have, one is the consumer business unit, which marketing is very much involved with. Then we have the housing union, and then we have industrial business unit, where I am the BU director there. Industrial is all the construction companies in Finland and housing factories. Yeah, that's about that. But I came from a very different background, but my interest was also to join a company where we manufacture our products in Finland. And at Pihla Group, we have 3 big factories here in Finland. Everything is made in Finland. And of course, we have the 5 smaller also. So together we have 8 factories in Finland. We are quite big employer, almost 1,000 employees in Finland, and with over 170 million euros of turnover. 2021. Yeah.
Great. So you have your background when it comes to marketing is both B2C and B2B.
Yes.
And and you've worked with, maybe the unifying theme has been working with really strong brands from McDonald's to Specsavers and now Pihla.
Yes. So it's been a very much brand driven, and some of my friends were asking when I joined Pihla Group, why it's no sexiness of the brand, with Pihla and Tiivi, but actually they are actually the market leaders and actually very interesting. Window is so much more than the glass only that keeps the warm inside and cold outside. As I also thought before I joined, I didn't see anything specific there, but actually it's a really interesting part of houses. And with windows and doors, you can really build and affect, for example, for the energy savings, which is one of the biggest topic today.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one as you're joining you're working with these big established, well-known brands. There's a lot of opportunity there, but maybe also some risks of like managing the brand and not kind of nurturing and managing the brand. So how do you think about branding as you come into like this organization that has well-established brand and lots of customers, lots of employees? How do you think about keeping what's good, but also then evolving the brand?
The branding is the key, and one should never forget, as marketers, we should always nurture our brand, and actually today it's even more important that you really it's actually one of the trends also to really brand focused, have the brand more in the center of what you are doing together with your customers. For example, I think one of the most the successful brands are the brands that create the ongoing dialogue with their customers. So those brands, they are the winners. They earn the best clicks because they have customers who know the brand, trust the brand, love the brand. And when you have that, you've done right things. And without branding and continuously branding, you never will receive that.
So you mentioned the clicks. So there's a direct impact of the branding work that you do on the performance of the advertising.
Yes, of course, because the consumers, they choose with their hearts, and if the brand is not awakening any feelings, the clicks won't come there without that. So I think that's actually one of the one really important trend at the moment with marketing also, which we maybe come later on.
Yeah. And I think one thing that I think I brought up in some of these podcast episodes is the measurement problem. Yeah. So a lot of companies, maybe especially now, budgets are tight.
Yeah.
They're listening to this and they're thinking, well, it sounds great to make investments in brand and we build brand equity and has these impacts on the performance, marketing, etc. But how can I measure, how can I prove that the investments we're making in brand are actually paying off? So how do you think about
I think the measuring is the key. Without measuring, marketers, CMOs cannot convince any corner rooms. We are measuring, we've been measuring for years already monthly our brand awareness. Our brand awareness and our competitors' brand awareness, and we can immediately see their impacts if we have succeeded with the branding or not. And it's a challenging situation because when you are a marketer and you need to have a short-term sales in today as quick as possible, you also need to understand that it's all about balance. It's about the balance of having those short-term quick sales activities together with the long-term brand building. And so it's actually ongoing thing. A marketer shouldn't think about campaigns. This is a branding campaign. This is this campaign. You should, in a way, I think you should think about, you can build brands, of course, as per, campaigns supporting them, but everything you do is building, you are building your campaigns. Even though it's a short-term sales increases, what's needed, or leads or an activity, also that should be screened through and asked, is this also supporting my brand?
Yeah. So there's, even if short-term is a focus, you can't obviously do anything that contradicts the brand.
No.
But you need that constant measurement to convince the board that, or
definitely, and to understand yourself also what's going on, because many strong brands, especially the market leaders and big brands, they can live for a while without brand support. But there comes a time when the brand starts diluting, because if you are not on consumers' mind, if you're not close to their doings and their hearts, you are just not there. And then there's a big difference, of course, what kind of brand we are talking about. Are we talking about consumers brand that the consumers are using every day, fast food marketers, or are you talking about brands that a consumer needs every third year, like windows and doors? You are not replacing them every month or every year, not even every 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's a big investment. So of course that needs to take into account.
Yeah, I think that's such an important point, because if you have a really strong brand and you cut off all advertising, marketing, and brand support, then you can still do well for a while, but eventually it's gonna
it starts going down.
Yeah. So how do you mentioned in Pihla's case, obviously you have a product that the purchase cycle is very long, in maybe not in years, like in decades. So how do you think about you're in a position where part of your marketing is not just about speaking to customers or people who have realized that, hey, now I need a new window. Maybe it's also about educating people on, like, hey, maybe now would be a time to change after 10, 15 years. So how does the educational aspect fit into marketing? How do you go about like creating demand, essentially?
Yeah, that's actually one part of the content and the communication, and without educating people don't know when to change my windows. They are not experts in windows, and I think we have got really good positive feedback about our content, let's say videos and all that. Or these are the 5 most important things that you need to know before you even, or need to know how to evaluate. Do you have to change windows or not?
Yeah.
And so education is big part of window and door marketing. Yes.
How do you think about what's required to make educational content that people actually want to consume? Because if I'm on social media, scrolling through, looking at whatever, I'm looking at photos and videos from my friends, then I'm not necessarily in the mood to read about windows. So how do you, in this world where there's like so much information and content, how do you create educational content that speaks to people and they actually consume?
That's a good question. And definitely you don't do it so that you put a PDF there and read about this. So that's not how do you do it. No. So it needs to be engaging. So what's engaging? Today engaging are short videos. I think short videos is one very good example of when people are moving, they are walking, they are sitting in a bus or whatever. More and more social medias, TikTok is showing the short videos. Insta Reels is coming, or is there. People are more and more video focused, short video ones. Everything that has moving and vertical thing is something that interests people and engages easier.
That's a really good example. And are there other examples of how you think the branding playbook has changed in the last couple of years?
Oh yes, I've been now 5 years at Pihla Group, and when I came there, I must say that it was very traditional. We used very traditional medias, lots of prints and local prints, radio. Nothing bad with those, but I understood quite quickly that with the amount of budget that we have, which is much less than the big brands, global brands are using for marketing, is that we needed to focus on something. In our business, the marketing is the channel that delivers the leads, both to Pihla and TV. So we are the lead generator for our business. And earlier our marketing calendar strategy looked, like I say, from the media perspective, quite traditional, a little bit of digital, but also fairs were a big part of getting the leads. And actually there were like over 50 fairs during the year.
Wow.
So that was a big change then. What happened actually, it happened already in 2018. We chose, actually, I made a pitch then that we needed to have a new agency. I wanted to have one agency, not an ad agency and a media agency separately. And but first we needed to make for us a new web pages. So I made a digital agency pitch, and Genero won that then. And then I gave an opportunity for you guys to show if you are able to handle the whole account within the next 6-8 months, and you did. And so after that we have had only one agency, which is Genero. And of course the big digital jump, we started already then, but the biggest jump happened when the pandemic came.
No more 50 fairs per year.
No, but there is again coming new times. But in the pandemic affected us a lot. In many ways.
It affected the marketing ability to market, but also probably demand.
The demand grew incredibly very fast because people were spending time at home and they started renovating. So there was high demand, and it was really great in the beginning. But then at the same time, all fairs were cancelled. So I made a decision that we'll put all that money that we had usually invested for fairs into digital and lead hunting in digital and growth hacking, actually. And that was the best decision we did then. And now we are facing a little bit different challenge, but let's not go there yet. The 2020, so everything changed, and but it was really great for our business was that people really wanted to do the renovation. Then 2021, it was another year, of course, because the demand was still there, but the raw material prices increased a lot. And also availability of some of the raw materials were a little bit challenging. At Pihla Group we were able to deliver, but of course some delays. But overall the digital played a really important part from 2020 onwards. So
there was a radical shift in your marketing mix, essentially, with a push to digital because of what happened.
Yes, it was a radical change. Yes.
And now you mentioned it's a different situation. So how are you now thinking about maybe if you were very kind of traditional beginning before COVID and then went really far to the digital? Are you now coming back? Do you think that it's going to come back to the kind of a middle?
When we went so heavily to the digital and lead generating from the digital, it also meant that we had to invest a lot for our own customer service center. So if you are a customer and you do so much around the leads, it doesn't help you if you get the leads, but you need to you take care of the leads. So you need to book the meetings and you need to follow up what is the conversion rate from the lead all the way to the meeting, and then as for the lead. And we did a lot of we built our customer service in 2020-21 a lot, invested there a lot. And now actually now it goes more like for last year. I think last year was a little bit challenging year. There were few challenges. One of the challenges was that, first of all, Facebook did not deliver, and it was as it did earlier. The other one was that we were so fresh and young with using TikTok that we didn't have the expertise within us to understand everything, and we didn't have good enough content yet there. So and also the TikTok is kind of like it's Generation Z, which is not our primarily target group. They are a little bit young still for owning houses or something like that. But I think we will be there even more stronger. But we kind of learned last year what's needed there. Then also our YouTube videos, they worked well, but they didn't generate the leads to us. But above all this, the biggest challenge actually is and has been now that the price per lead has increased so much within the last 3 years that now I am facing the situation that of course we are still concentrating in growth hacking and getting the leads through our activities online, but I need to take some traditional things back. Few fairs, few human contacts more, and some go back to the basics in a way, because the cost is going absolutely too high.
Yeah, and I guess that's a good point. Is when you really focus all your efforts on one channel, then eventually at some point you're going to see a diminishing rate of return, and you're going to reach all the customers or potential customers, and the costs are going to go way too high.
Yeah.
But and obviously that requires you to have a good understanding of the quality and the cost of the leads from that channel. So then you can compare, like for instance, now you're adding back some of the traditional methods, you'll be able to compare, I assume, the cost per lead for the different activities and find the best balance.
Yes, definitely. And we are evaluating always the cost per lead, whether it's online or whether it's on somewhere else outside of online.
Yeah. So it's going to be a more balanced approach.
Yeah, it is. I'm not going to go back to the old time. No way there will be like 50 first, but I must admit that we need to get it now, think about different ways.
What would you say, let's say there's someone listening now who's been doing maybe just the traditional form of marketing or maybe very little marketing, and they're interested in kind of building this lead generation machine, if you will, online. What do you think are some of the important things? You mentioned you have to build out the kind of infrastructure with customer support.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that?
Well, I think the number one thing today is the technology. How do you use the AI, for example? How do you use your own CRM? Customer path, that you really understand your customer segments and how they move on your pages. So at the moment, for example, we are getting really good amount of people coming to our web pages, so no problem with that. But how engaged they are, how good content we are doing, are we really seeing where they are and what they should be reading and getting from us to really make them like brand lovers in a way. So I think that's a big work task that we still have to do. So I think the AI is one really big thing to concentrate what to do there. I was just thinking, what is it? Active campaign is something that we are using and we started using. So I think we are still in the beginning there. We are building it, and I think that is something that you should really build all the time. It's like amoeba. It's a living amoeba that it's living all the time, and you need to.
You have to feed it.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I think it raises an important point, which is all the things you mentioned here take time and they take work. So it's not, you can necessarily approach this with, we're just going to put up a basic website and just one ad and run it for a week, and if we don't get results, this lead gen thing doesn't work, and shut it down.
No, and everything is about testing. So you test all the time. Whatever you are doing, you need to be testing. You need to be able to get from the agency also results. Why is this working? Why isn't working? And all the time we need to tune our messages and the content so that we find that this is the best working at the moment. After a week, it might not be.
It's quite a different mindset. You can't just plan one campaign for a long time, put it out there, and it's perfect, and then we'll just do another one in 2 months. And
you are on the pulse all the time.
Yeah.
And actually, if you are a campaign driven, so you need to do, and I think very many marketers are doing like ABC versions of the messages already now.
Yeah. So that's for kind of lead generation. When it comes to branding now this year and beyond, do you think that digital is enough for, let's say, for if you want to build a strong brand, or do you need television? Do you need print and all these traditional, established, trusted kind of media formats or media channels? How do you think about the balance?
I would love to use more the combination. I used to work for so long with the big medias, that's TV and all that, and I think from the brand perspective, it's really great. But unfortunately, then you need a much more bigger budget.
Yeah.
And when you don't have a big enough budget, I think it's more clever to understand how much you can maximize what you have in your pocket and where to put it.
Okay.
But definitely, yes, there are media agencies know very well what are the good combinations, for example, with digital. Very many, I have had learnings that radio and digital works really well together earlier. I don't know now because I haven't used it for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's it.
So it's about finding a media mix that works for your budget and your kind of needs.
Yes, and of course we need an agency also who tells that this is something you should do to get that, and that's also something that in a way media agency is in the right contact for that. So if you are only working with the digital, it's good to be with the digital agency. But if you are using lots of different medias, you need an media agency also there to evaluate you the best media mix.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about when it comes to kind of branding and content? Do you think, how should companies think about investing in that? Or let's say the balance between content and distribution with media. Should it be, we'll just put together something quite cheap or like low cost and then spend a lot of money just on getting it out there? Or is...
I think content is number one thing.
So that's like...
I think content is absolutely number one thing. It builds your customer loyalty. It builds your brand awareness. I think investing in content is really important because in a way it brings people together also. You have the same topics that you're sharing, you're searching information from something, and the content is a good content. But if you go for the content, I think it's really important that you do your basics first really well. So you do the content strategy well. So you know who you are talking, why, and what kind of. Then you need to also take care that your content has the visual platform that you follow up, so that you don't look different every time you come with a different content. So your consistent branding is really important. Then also I think that in the content you should use the video content more and improve the quality of the content all the time.
Yeah.
I believe in content. I think you can do really good brand building. Also B2B, as a B2B customer, I am B2C and I'm B2B. So from the B2B side also employer building is really important, and that you can do also through a really good content.
So even if we're in the age where you can produce content, I could take my iPhone and film something. It doesn't, even though you can produce very low cost, low effort content, it's still an area where you think companies really need to invest in.
I think that's a dialogue. If you really want to, I think that's absolutely one cornerstone of today's digital marketing is the content. I think you should post a lot of content and push the organically well. I think that's what you should do.
What kind of expertise do you think it requires to have this like exceptional content?
That's a good question also, because it needs resources, it needs planning. So if you feel like it's all the time somebody needs to write something, so you need to have good stories, you need to have things to tell, and that's why it's maybe worthwhile of taking an external partner to brainstorm with you, for you to see that actually many companies have great stories, and they just don't understand because you're so involved yourself there. You don't see and hear them anymore, and suddenly you feel like, oh no, we have a lot to tell actually. I'm doing actually that. I started that in my B2B for Pihla Pro, which is the professional brand, and we started doing that for architects and for construction companies, and we have really got good feedback from that, both internally and externally. It also builds internally your proudness about the company, so it works both sides.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's such an interesting point you made, because you sometimes have work with these companies and they say, well, we have there's nothing going on, and then you learn more about their company, and there's like this huge gold mine of
exactly that
they just never thought about sharing.
Exactly.
So unfortunately we're running out of time, but I kind of, as a final question, what are some of the most interesting, from both lead generation and branding point of view, opportunities, channels for you this year? What are you kind of looking forward to testing and using?
Well, the opportunity lays still very much behind content. But maybe for the biggest question I have is what kind of role the automation really has, and artificial intelligence, how much role they will play in the future. I think that's an interesting question, what I actually have on my mind at the moment. So, and I think we need to be very sure that we are not giving too much for the AI, our own brand presence, but use the AI more to help us better of delivering our messages or the point of view what we want to say. So I think that's one big thing. The challenges is still the increasing price. How do we handle that per lead? That's a very big topic. Also, I am looking very much now how quickly we can, how good we are by engaging the consumers when they land to our pages, that they really leave their information and they want us to contact them. It's all about content there. It's all about customer paths. It's all about, like I was saying, constantly testing different things. I think those are very interesting ones at the moment. But then there are lots of trends that we are not using at all. There are many brands that are using influencers, which is really interesting, and I think so. Many companies should have a look into that. And then we talked about the value of the brand already earlier. I think the conversation, the authentic conversation that you have with your customers is really key for your brand to succeed. Yeah.
Well said. Thank you so much, Minna, for coming on the podcast. And to anyone listening, if you haven't bought new windows if it's been a few years, then you should look at Pihla TV and get some brand new windows. Thanks everyone for listening.